Being in a van, I'm sorry, that is way smaller than any 300 square foot apartment.
You're going to have to make some decisions in your life that's going to be tough.
I'd love for you to give us a little rundown of what your daily routine's like. And this is why, everybody, I know for a fact there's a lot of people in our communities that are in this same struggle and making these same choices. Everybody for different reasons. But I know for a fact, I worked at the YMCA in Downey, California. And I knew a handful of amazing people that were living in their cars. And I knew him for 6 months. I had no idea. One guy in particular is a friend of mine today. And you know what? He's doing very well today. And he's selling real estate. But at the time, he was living in his car. And I just knew him as a guy in the gym that, lifting weights. And he's really fit. But he was working. He was working for a temp agency and living in his car. So I want you to tell us what your daily routine's like, because I know for a fact a lot of people are going through this. And I just don't think there should be such a stigma when you hear these things, and instead more of a, why don't we embrace each other and stop, figure out what the problem is and why we're not all being able to strive at the plate, in the positions that we deserve to strive at.
So the most important thing was safety, right? The most important thing is safety. So before the routine, the first time we was out, it was like, wow, we're really there's nothing back. Like, we can't go backtrack. It's like okay, now we're out here now. So now it's like, okay, well, what do we do? Like, we're at the park now. So now after the park, okay, let's go get something to eat. We'll go get something to eat. After we get something to eat, now it's getting dark. Now it's like, well, where do we go? It's like, so I drove all the way to my job, and we drove for like first couple of days. We parked in the parking lot and we stayed there. A night shift is like couple of people park, and we parked in the back, and we need to use the bathroom. I was like, go in to use the bathroom at the job. And so what? Go in the bathroom. We still do. You know what I'm saying? I remember my guys would be working at night, and I'll come in there and like, what are you doing here, man? It'll start till 7. I was like,
I love this job.
Cup of noodles. Yeah,
can't stay away.
Putting water in the noodles, and like came all the way for that. Yeah,
in your pajamas.
Yeah, my little fluffy.
Why are we making? You gotta make like.
Yeah, you gotta make like you know how we are. We gotta do. It was the story the other day. You just gotta, man. It's better than crying sometimes. And so the main thing was safety. So and then hygiene, right?
Right.
So I know, like everybody else that's doing what we're doing, right? Because we're not the only ones. I know, we got a membership at Planet Fitness. I got my son a membership at Planet Fitness, and then later on, my wife finally came around and got it. And with the benefit of having that, they give you a free guest pass to whoever. So I was like, great, I get one, you get one. Oh, my son doesn't have to get one, but then my other son can go with her. So anybody can go in and get guests. So they don't need a pass. They don't need they're not charged. We just get charged monthly. Yeah. So it's not bad. So we go, we get up, we'll wake up in the morning. We'll stop like at a racetrack or something, which is like a 7-Eleven over here.
Oh, okay. I was like that.
Yeah, racetrack.
Wait,
like
you're gambling?
Yeah, no.
That's the problem.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. The racetrack, we'll go. We'll do get some coffee stuff and stuff like that, or really, I'll tell you this routine. The hard routine. My wife can deal with. She's got to deal with this. So. She's still studying to be a psychologist. She's getting her master's, right? She's on online course. My two second oldest kids, they're online, trying to graduate high school.
Okay.
Right? Okay. So when they pick me up in the morning, right? Me and my son work together. They pick us up in the morning. So they pick us up in the morning. I'm asleep in the car. They're going around. Sometimes I'll get a full 3-4 hours of sleep. Sometimes I just can't.
Wow.
So then she'll park at Planet Fitness, right? And then they'll go to the gym, or they'll what we usually do right now, they'll go to the gym, right? When they're done with that, either I'll wake up or I'll stay asleep, and then we'll go to the library,
Okay.
Now we were doing Whole Foods. We were doing the laundromat, right?
Yeah.
Peachy Clean Laundry,
Yeah.
right? Shout out
Shout
to
out
her.
to Peachy Queen.
She leaves us out. She'll leave us out there till 12 closing. My wife's doing her homework, and me and my kids would just be chilling. We'd be like in the laundromat, or in the parking lot. And then we'll get done. They'll do that till about 5. Right? I'll go to the gym. I'll get energy enough to go to the gym now. Clean up after I'm done. Then I'll come get them. We'll go get some food. I usually Publix, which is like, Food for Less or something.
Oh, okay.
We'll get some salami sandwiches or something. And I've been eating nothing but deli sandwiches. My blood pressure must be at 1,000. So we'll have that, right? Noodles or whatever. Then we'll go to drive to the job. And then she drops me off. She's still got to finish up. She's got assignment after assignment after report after essay so she's got to go and find another spot to go. So usually she'll drive 20 some miles to drop me off, and then she'll go right back to the town we live in, or we lived in, where we stay around. And then she'll either go to the laundromat, or she'll be the only one working on the computer at Planet Fitness, where everybody's working out at night.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's really her routine. My routine is simple. When I'm here, we're all doing the same thing. But I'm following her because she's got to do the library thing. I'm off. But that's pretty much it. And then just keep her safe. The main thing is to keep her and my daughter and the boys safe, because you never know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like it's all. But luckily, I don't know. We haven't got sweated, man.
We've been
Cops,
fortunate.
Nobody's sweated us.
I think even in this situation, another thing that I've been studying is no matter what changes you go through, you got to stay connected with your community and your resources. Mm-hmm. Whether that's blood family, friends, or just strangers. And so I have developed relationships. Being in California, I used to be a membership director for Chino Valley Chamber of Commerce. And in that, I was connected to a lot of different businesses, different professional, and everybody was my best friend. Everybody was my best friend. We was at hotels all the time. Always got a good deal. Took care of our families. We weren't in the maybe we weren't staying there for that moment, but because they knew me, they said, "Oh, Saundra's family. Oh, they can eat breakfast if their kids is here. Let them eat breakfast before they go to school." And so I say this because even here, it was hard, especially with the pandemic. I wasn't able to be myself. I wasn't able to make those connections the way I wanted. I will say the way I wanted, but like the Peachy Laundry, love the owner. She's amazing. She does great with her. Her business, her clients, and then just the community. She's amazing. And then there's other people like Racetrack. When they see me, sometimes they'll close it down because safety. There's times people, I don't know what happens, but the police cars are there. I'll let my husband know. But then, so when they see me though, they're like, "Oh, no, let her go in. She got to use the bathroom. She has to take care of stuff." And I love that because, I don't feel alone, and I love that my husband understands the importance of safety, but keeping those connections and building new connections with people with resources is so important.
I love that. That village, right? It's having a village. That leads me to say this. You're working. Mm-hmm. If there's an opportunity out there, I want to put a way to contact you, social something. If there's an opportunity out there and somebody reached out to you and they're like, "You know what?" And there's an opportunity that's paying more than what you're paying, or that could help get you into a better position. Is that something you're eager and looking for, interested in? I know you have a plan, but hopefully somebody watching this sees what you guys are doing and the sacrifice you're making temporarily to get to a much better place. Mm-hmm. I know a lot of people probably out there are going to watch this and just hear that and be like, "This sounds absurd. Like, why just get a studio apartment, and pile in there, and you're not sleeping on the street or in a car and whatever people's opinions are, that's their opinion. You've decided as a team and a unit, you've been married for 23 years. If my math is right, you said 2020. You've been holding it together. You have four children?
We have a lot, 10.
10 children. You clearly love each other and clearly are riding together. Right. So doesn't really matter what anybody thinks, right, about your choices, but what is important is that you made a choice, and it's a temporary choice, and you're going to get to your destination. I have no doubt. I know you both. But if somebody out there is looking and said, man, you know what, I have an opportunity, or is that something you're interested in?
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely look into it. I mean, I would love to, check that out.
Yeah, I mean, I know you're not looking for like any kind of handout. I'm just saying if somebody goes, wow, this might. The reason I'm saying that is I would love to attach, like an email or something where people could reach out if they want to, or just ask you questions of inspiration. There's other people that are dealing with this and might want to just reach out to you and go, yo, brother, this is what I'm going through. And you could talk. So if you're okay with that, we'll attach your
of course
your
you can
info.
Attach my email or my Instagram or social media or something. And like I said, we don't want no handouts, none of that stuff. It's not we're just doing what we need to do. I'm glad we're able to do that, and we're not asking for no money. What I just want to do is just make sure that my family, my home's taken care of, and that we can have something. If something happens, if God's got to take me or whatever,
I love that.
I was going to say, you had mentioned something about a studio. And so that's a big reason why we're also in this situation. So I'm just going to say system, if that's the wrong word, please forgive me. But I feel like in this system, you can only live in certain places with a certain amount of people. We do have 2 dogs, which are holding it down too, bless their hearts. And so we're not able to just get that. That's a whole reason why we wanted the land. The other thing is, just to put a little thing about land, if you have a family, and there's so many people that I'm hearing, children are inherited assets, including land, real estate, and they just don't have the right paperwork in place. If you're in that position, I would totally recommend find some legal advice, get some kind of mentor to help you get that paperwork done. Because a big reason why we're in this situation is because I do have family, but the land doesn't have a current succession. So without that current succession, I can't legally put my house on it. There is a way to do it, but my family's not really working with me on that. And it's not a bad thing. Sometimes, they're in Greensburg, I'm in California. So, we just didn't have that relationship maybe. So it's not a bad thing. It's just the right things were not in place. And so I just want to help people, and furthering even in my career, I have a focus on family as well as mental health and substance abuse. When you're dealing with this and you have that other layer to deal with, please just go get help. And just believe that you're okay. It doesn't matter what you're feeling, what you're thinking. Just don't do it by yourself, because you're not meant to do this by yourself. And you can get through it. And so right now I'm actually connecting with a group. It's called Hope in Georgia, and I'll be speaking to women pretty much the same thing, so that they don't feel like they're useless. They don't have value. They can't really give. No. You have exactly what you need, your life, and then from there you just keep making the connections and going forward.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah,
that's beautiful.
Good
Thank
stuff.
you. Well, we're gonna close out. I know Wilson, you got to get to work. Is there any last thing you want to shoot into the camera, man? Because
just the glass is always half full. I could mope and I could be upset. And things, you're gonna get hit with different things as life, goes on throughout the day, but just live in the now and just just do your best just to focus. Reach out, call somebody. I guess called my sponsor yesterday, and I felt better. He listened to me. I listened to him. I actually helped him by calling. And you never know, man. Sometimes you just reaching out to people, you help more than you think. it's just getting out of ourselves, stop isolating and feeling like we ain't worth nothing, you know. I think that's the problem with us. When you start feeling like that, you feeling like walls are closing in. You gotta get open, and that's so hard in this society, you know, especially men, you know. We're not supposed to get open, you know. We're supposed to swallow that pride and just take it and just deal. But you know, me dealing with stuff like that, I launch it out on her. I launch it out on the kids, you know, and it's just. I'm tired of that. I'm tired of that. Like, you know, Dad's mad again, or oh, here he goes, or you know what I'm saying? Like, let's channel some better vibes, you know. So I said all that to say, you know, it don't matter what people in this world are trying to do, or what they're trying to create in this world, the changes they're trying to make. Just, you know, we have each other, we have our family, and we're here for a short time. And I think then nothing's more clear than it is now in this time that we live in. And I just, you know, just love, man, reach out and always just have hope, you know, and be okay with who you are. Don't be ashamed, you know. So, I mean, I know that was kind of long.
No, it's great. It's great. I want to thank you both really sincerely for being on and sharing your journey. Honestly, it's a courageous thing to come on here and share it. And, you know, I've had mixed feelings the whole time about doing this, like we've talked, because there's so much stuff that comes up of like, I commend your courage on coming up here and just talking, because you didn't need to do this. There's... You know, we're not paying you. There's not. You didn't have to do this, and I appreciate that, because I know when we talked, you were just like, I had said to you that our podcast is meant for residents of National Core. I mean, it's for the world, but we really focus on our residents who are in affordable living, and that your story, I think, could be really relatable with a lot of them. So hopefully people do get some out of this story. I thank you for doing that. I think you did a courageous thing today.
You should never stress about the problems you be facing. Everybody in the mud on the struggle trying to make it. Look into the mirror and you see your motivation. Then you step into the world and you find your inspiration.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the FYI podcast. Super excited today. This is an incredible story. A journey that began in LA, ended up in Atlanta, and now is in Arizona. I'm sitting here with Wilson and his lovely wife, Saundra Marie. If you remember, on the part 1 episode with them, we were in Atlanta, Georgia. They were living in their van with their family. It was an incredible story. It was a story full of risk and sacrifice. And I got good news today. That sacrifice paid off. We're sitting in their lovely home now in Arizona. It's beautiful. The community's great. I couldn't be more excited for them. So, Wilson, welcome back. Saundra, welcome back. Thank you guys for doing the show. It's not always that we get happy endings. Not that this is an ending. This is a beginning. But you know, part 1 when we were out in Atlanta, that was tough. That was a journey that impacted my life definitely. So I want to kind of jump into this. First of all, tell me, how does it feel? How does it feel to be here in your home with your family?
I mean, it feels good. I mean, I'm very grateful that things worked out. I mean, we went through a long road. It was, you know, and I'm just glad that you know, that we have some place to call home and stuff. It was tough, man. It was tough. Yeah, went through a lot.
Saundra, talk to me.
Yeah, for me, I really appreciated just everyone coming together. We literally took a moment and said, we want better for us, and this is what we have to do. And so we came together, and wow, so many hours, so many days, so many weeks later, yeah, it feels good to have a roof.
You guys are definitely what this podcast stands for, right? Finding your inspiration, finding motivation, making sacrifices to get from point A to point B. You've definitely done that. Give me a special moment since you've been living here. I mean, there's got to be like, what's been an exciting moment for you, like sitting on your porch or, you know, at night? What has stuck out to you? We'll start with you, Wilson, that being in your own home, and what's a special thing that stuck out?
definitely just my kids, my kids finally saying, finally, man, like we can finally lay our heads down and we have a room. I know my daughter was excited and just like, just felt like a load was just taken off our backs, and man, we're like, hey man, we got a house, and we're like, yeah, we got a house, that's right. And it's just like, we can't forget, man, the little things, God does for us and provides for us and stuff. So I'm definitely grateful for those things, Those are special for me.
Yeah, for me, it's definitely just the simple things in life, just literally having a bed to lay down in. And, when we were in the situation in the van, honestly, we were like, we could do this. This was awesome. But man, when we had that first moment where we laid down, it was priceless.
Yeah.
It was priceless.
Living in the car, you've probably seen or experienced, some pretty heavy emotions. Has any of that trickled into now your everyday life, being in a home? And I know you just mentioned, even if it's in a positive way, so like Saundra just mentioned, like laying in the bed together, like that's something most of us take for granted, right? Like you were in a car, so you guys weren't able to, I assume, cuddle, or now you're in a bed together and you could hold each other. Yeah. Is there anything else that's kind of just, whether it's positive or negative, that feels hard to adapt to?
No, not really. I mean, I know I've had moments where I told my wife, like, man, I'm glad we're not doing that no more. Like I'm glad we had a date. To move on. And so many people that don't. But I mean, I think health wise, me and my wife were getting swollen ankles. Like it was just like, I don't know if it was from sitting down so much or just eating out. We was eating a lot of sandwiches and stuff like that. And I'm happy that I don't think we've gone out like we used to. Yeah. We was out, we was out and about. So we was like always here, Quick Trip or Raceway, which is like 7-Eleven over there. And we would, now we have home cooked meals. It's just the simple things in life, and it's just like I just told her, they go like, I ain't got no ankle swelling no more. Wow. You know what I'm saying? Like my socks ain't tight, and I don't know what, right? I don't know what was going on. Yeah. But that's one thing I'm grateful that I'm totally grateful that that we're situated for the moment.
Right.
So
when you were out there and making that decision, did you ever feel like maybe I'm making the wrong decision by being out here? Did that?
I mean, we made a decision because we just couldn't. It was. I didn't feel like we were successful. I didn't want to feel like that because I was acting when I was in LA and we was I was trying to get a decent job, but I couldn't hold anything down with auditions and having to go and do things for TV shows. So we were in a bind there, and then when we went to Georgia, things were good and we was getting started, and then we got into another bind. And then so to make the decision to say like, I'm not going to keep paying, X amount of dollars, and now a new lease is coming, and we're going to have to pay more, and we're barely getting by now. So the decision was kind of like I've always been kind of like a feel good, like if I felt it, like an impulse, I just say let's just do it. My wife's always been. Like when I said let's go to Georgia, she said let's go. When I said let's move out and just live in the car, she said I'm with you. It wasn't like what about the kids? What about this? We talked to the kids, but they understood. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, man, like I never felt so much freedom. At the same time, the freedom was we didn't have no ties that bind. There was nothing binding us to anything. And we spoke to some people, and I'm like, you live in the car, like the ex-landlord, like, you don't live in the car? I'm like, gotta do what we gotta do. And just like, he thought it was crazy, you know what I'm saying? But I'm just like, it probably is crazy, but what's right, you know what I'm saying? Like, what's right in this world anymore or ever, it's decisions you gotta make, and people, gotta understand it's what we feel, So, I had a lot of ups and downs. I said, that's a good decision. Then it would be, I can't sleep one night. It was a terrible decision, you know, like street lights is on me and a shopping mall, or, you know, and the dangers and all. And, you know, and sometimes, man, dangers or not, I mean, I was asleep. Car was on, heater was on. I'd wake up for it, like, man, something could have happened, you know what I'm saying? But I was like, I'm grateful that, you know, God protected us, you know?
I want to kind of tap into that for either one of you could answer. Because I'd imagine that has to be something that you're consciously thinking of, like, wow, I have my kids in the car, you know, even if you know, like, which it sounds like you knew, like, no, this is the decision. You made a conscious decision. Turned out that it worked. But were there moments like that it was like when everyone's asleep, like, damn, what if this don't work? You know, what if something happens to us while we're asleep? I think the audience was probably asking that, right? Thinking like, wow, what did that feel like? And what motivated you when you were thinking those things? Like, I'm making a bad decision. No, the wife's in the car, the kids are in the car, or vice versa. But what motivated you to stick through your plan? Because I think in life that's a problem. Not none of us, I shouldn't say that, but a lot of us don't stick to our plan. We set a plan to lose weight, we don't stick to it, or to save money. You guys set a plan, you stuck to it, and now there's success. So I kind of want to know, like, what was it like? Did you have moments where you're like, this is a bad plan? this ain't gonna work.
You know, for me, when you're saying that, it's making me think, and hopefully someone out there can understand what I'm saying. You know, when you're in a relationship, sometimes it's a bad plan. You don't understand how to change that. How do you get out of that? How do you keep yourself safe, protected? And I'm saying this to give people hope that whatever your plan needs to be, you got to carry it out. But when you carry it out, you do need support. A lot of times you can't do it by yourself. So I made sure that I met people in the community. I have a background in PR. I do have my college education. So I knew the security at the QT, you know, down the street from my husband's job. The security guard from a little shopping center ended up being my cousin from Louisiana. That was so cool. And then just really knowing our spots. So our family didn't have a structure. And, you know, we would, they worked 12-hour shifts, got off early in the morning. So we went straight to Planet Fitness. Planet Fitness was super huge. One, it just helped us stay, you know, active. Number two, I was able to do, you know, my schoolwork. But ultimately, we had amazing relationships. So we made sure wherever we went that we were familiar with the area. Whole Food also. One time I was doing my computer work. All the lights were out, and one light came on, and it was the light right where we were. And I remember one time asking, is it okay if we stay after? No problem. Like, oh my gosh, I want to cry because people are watching and they want to help. So just always, you know, look and build your support.
I love that. That's powerful. Know your surroundings, build the village and the support around you. When you were living in the car, I want you to go back in your minds to those nights. Some people out there will be thinking, you know, this is dangerous. You know, this is too dangerous. It's not a good decision. What specifically did you know in your mind that this was gonna work and this was worth it? Like what, or was it just blind faith? Or was there something that was like, I know this is dangerous. I know this is not the normal decision, but this is why I'm doing it. Was there that moment, or was it just blind faith?
It was a little bit of everything. I mean, I just gave. I mean, as unstable as I may be in my thinking and ways, but I always talked to God. I always did, you know, what I needed to do to just fortify what we're going through. It didn't make sense, you know. Some days were great, some days were happy. I mean, for the most part, it was good. But it's just the fact that there was no. It was just open, you know. You're just in the open, you're just roaming, you know what I'm saying, with no with nothing to back you, you know what I'm saying? And then I could see where people would see where that's the dangers. I did everything I could, you know, tell my sons and my daughters to protect themselves, you know, to understand that, you know, and put it in their heads, you know, keep telling them until they got sick of it. And then you know, I think the main things when I was working 12 hours and my wife would go, I gotta study, and she would leave, and I didn't know where she was, and I got tired and I fell asleep. And now we'd be like, what are you doing? Like, you know, they would be knocked out somewhere else instead of where we said the rendezvous, or where, you know, I told her to come back to the parking lot because it was real secluded. And nobody was there. It was night shift. So, you know what I'm saying? So those kind of things. I mean, it doesn't matter what you do. People are going to think of you how they're going to think of you.
Yeah.
But I knew God would pull us through somehow, man. I didn't know if he was going to get a house, own a house. I mean, we went, you know, trying to get a trailer. We were trying to live in other states. We was going to Louisiana, you know, maybe transferring a job over there. We was trying to see if we could do RV.
So you guys were stacking money, though. I mean, you had a plan. It was like you're stacking money as you're going. So you knew at some point, though,
right?
You're gonna.
We were stacking money.
We weren't just stacking money. We actually got. We had been in Georgia in a few bids getting a home, but we did get approval for a mobile home, manufactured home in Louisiana.
I remember in the last interview you guys
But the issue was not having the land. And so because of that was difficult. And we had it where there was, you know, it was supposed to happen, but it just did not. Right. And so that was very difficult because that would have made that time period way shorter. Right. And so just being on this journey, like, what? We had a plan and that didn't work, now what? But for me, I didn't see it dangerous because, you know, I think about airplanes, cars, people are like, I don't want to fly, but there's a lot more accidents in cars. A lot of people, you know, unfortunately get robbed. I had heard of some things happening in Georgia, in, you know, down south, because that's just where we were. And so it can happen in your home, it can happen at school, it can happen, you know, just walking to the park. Yeah. So dangers wasn't the issue. I do believe that this allowed us to help our kids be more aware and more prepared. And our kids are of age. And so what I love is that we're propelling them, launching them into, you know, young adulthood. And honestly, I love their feedback. You know, at first they were like, well, Mom, Dad, you know what, whatever you're going to do, we're sticking with you. We're like, you can go to Godfather, and, you know, because we did want to take care of, you know, our kids. But going through it, they're like, you know what, I feel like I can do anything because of this.
See, that's what's incredible to me about the story. It's talking to you when you guys made a decision. You presented the kids with another option. If they're young adults with another option, and they were like, nah. They made the decision to stick it out with you guys. You presented them with other options, like your godfather's house or uncle's house, but they were like, nah, we want to do this together. And on top of that, wow, the amount of discipline, sacrifice that you all learned as a family, and knowing you were stacking money, so it wasn't like, every night, like, oh, what are we going to do? It's like, no, we're going to get there. I mean, the doors were closing, like, oh, okay, the RV and not the land. And then it finally lands here, and wow, how proud your kids must be of you guys. Vice versa, how proud you must be of your children. How does that make you feel that your kids were ride or die with you and stuff you through?
It makes me feel good that they, you know, that they hung out and they stuck with us and stuff. And I feel good that, you know, that we have this for them and stuff, and that there was some kind of reward at the end, you know what I'm saying? I mean, we had a lot of letdowns, like, you know, we tried to get a house in Georgia, we tried to get a house, like, you know, I told you, in Louisiana, we tried to go back and try again in Georgia, and then I get a house, and then we said, okay, well, we're just gonna have to rent. Yeah. You know, and then we had a trip out here, and we were passing by, and we saw my oldest son. And, you know, he was going through some stuff, you know, and so I made the decision. I said, you know, let's just move here. And we was already going to say, okay, we're just going to rent out there. We're just going to have to just, you know, get our credit score up. Because we had some issues with our credit score. The guy ran it. Yeah, they did something. I don't know. But anyway, stay close to your, you know, your money and be smart with your credit score and research if you're going to be, trying to buy houses or, really trying to take into account what you need to do in order for you to grow in your life, because those little setbacks affected us still, but the challenges were set again and we just went through it. So we came out here and, to help each other out, so that was a blessing, and we got the house, based on our incomes, not just mine, because, with everything that's going on, everything's a little bit pricier, so we have to, as a community, as family, build together. We wasn't talking for a while. We had issues when he was younger, and God's able to bring that together. So that's another benefit. That we're here and we're patching up wounds and building. He calls me Pop, and just things that I never thought was going to happen. So I mean, to other people, it may not be that great of a success story, but to me, I think it's everything because we've come full circle.
I don't think success stories get greater than a family coming together, having a full communal experience together, sacrificing together, living together, bonding together, growing together, and making things happen together. I don't think there is a better story than that, man. So I love that we segued into you guys getting here. So now we're here. What's life like? We pulled up before Wilson got here, and when we pulled up, the garage doors open. I see a bunch of weights, nice and organized, very militant. And I'm like, oh, we're in the right house. This is Wilson's house. This guy loves to work out. And the garage door's open. So I ring the doorbell. Nobody's home. And I'm thinking, you're in a good community when you could just drive off, leave all your weights there, not worry about them getting stolen. Because where I live, man, in LA, you can't, so... How cool is that to be in a neighborhood that you could do that?
It's cool. It's definitely cool. Well, I should have closed. I don't know why they closed the gate, but I mean the garage door. Thank you, Mom. But yeah, I mean it feels. I mean we feel protected. I feel like okay. Like we're in a. It's still not what I want, to be honest, and be open about it. I'm just grateful God gave me this. I mean.
You're still striving for...
yeah, of course. Okay. And whether we get it, I don't know. But I'm grateful for what we got. I think this is just a stepping stone into something else, because I don't know how long we're going to be here. I mean, not saying that we're going to do anything detrimental to make it go bad, but the way everything's going, we don't know. But for what we have for right now, this is great, man.
I wanted to I really appreciated your leadership. Your leadership was amazing, and whatever leadership in whatever family people have, be grateful. Take a moment to say thank you. And I wanted to go back to the getting that home, just to help people be aware. You made great points. For me and my husband, we have pretty much similar ideas. We respond differently. But some people talk about the different face of homelessness. And so our story might be one of those different faces. I honestly don't consider it homeless. I called it systemless, because we literally had the mobility to do whatever we needed. Yeah. And we have to be careful not to be in a structure that you're paying someone else's
everything,
livelihood. Because that's not how we were meant to live. And if you have a faith factor in your life, it's so important to revisit what that means and what that is. Because I want to go back to your question, why? What was the motivation? It was totally faith. And faith for us is an understanding to reset our true purpose, our true passion on a heartfelt level. Not just what people are telling us, what your family is expecting, not even our plan, if that makes sense. It's a unified plan for not just family, but building authentic communities that have resources to help each other out as needed. Not the way they want, but as needed for humankind to exist.
Oh, that's incredible. I'd like to ask, for people that are out there right now, living in the same circumstance you were 6 months ago, what advice do you have for them? Knowing that the end game for you has been so successful, what advice can you give them?
I just say no fear. Don't be scared. I mean, if you're scared, that's a challenge. You have to take it. That's what I go by. If I feel like I don't want to do it, then that's a challenge. I just say, like, man, you gotta take that challenge, man. You can't be scared of the challenge. You know, if that's a decision you gotta make, and so be it, man. You know, you gotta take it and be okay with it. I mean, a lot of people are not gonna agree with you, and that's okay because you're not doing it for them. You're doing it for you. You're doing it for your family, to survive, to do something. You're gonna have to make some decisions in your life that's gonna be tough. And that was a tough one. It was like, we just get another place, pay another extra $500-$600, or we just save that money up. But even when we saved the money up, we still had to pay for the car, pay for the brakes, pay for new tires, pay for this. So the money came in handy. We saved money, but we also spent money we probably wouldn't have had if we were working on getting a new place where we were just giving money to the landlord and not getting any equity, nothing.
Right.
So yeah, man. I mean, sometimes you just gotta bear down and you just gotta say, I don't know what I'm doing. So I mean, you gotta have faith. You're gonna have to knuckle up. You know, you're gonna have to bear down. You're gonna have to say, like, I gotta do what I gotta do. You know, you gotta have faith, and it's like you gotta make things happen. You know, no one's gonna do it for you. So you know, that's what I would say. You just gotta go for it.
You know, for me, I always say breathe. Because breath is life from God. And then I say be bold. Because without action, nothing is going to happen. And as you do that, believe that you're living your authentic self. You know, sometimes people might not take that positively, especially if they do have a fake factor. But it's important to be authentic, even if it is wrong, like you find out. You know what, this wasn't the best decision. But if you never took it, you'll never know. Mm-hmm. You'll never know what your next step should be, or even is going to be, or even can be. And just remembering that being stuck, being held back, living someone else's truth, living someone else's life, that's just not the plan for us. I also wanted to say, you know, being in this situation, a lot of people would see this as, you know, homeless with a different face. And for me, in my experience, I saw it as systemless. Because when we looked up, literally anything we saw, it was ours. We were home. We made the best out of every situation. We experienced love and unity greater than anyone could. I can't even express. One of my friends said, "Did you save the money?" And I was so hesitant because I wasn't sure how to answer that. Because even though that was like the goal, that's another thing. You can have a goal, but then you're being directed another way. Even though that was the goal, I believe the true reward was the increased and refined love and trust that our family had for each other. Because being in a van, I'm sorry, that is way smaller than any 300 square foot apartment that anybody, like, it is tight. You know, you're overlapping, mind you, not even physically, but like emotionally, you're just crowded. You're just on each other all the time. And we had to look at each other and say, I love you. Let's do this one more day. We can do this one more day together. And it's amazing. Life is amazing. Please make the most of it. I also believe that it's not meant for us to stay in one area. The nation is huge. We have 50 states, but there's a world for us to explore. So if it's in your mind, in your heart to explore more, do it. Breathe, be bold, and do it.
Ah, well said. Listen, guys, I want to thank you. I want to congratulate you both. I'm incredibly proud that you're my friends. Your story has inspired me, keeps hope in me. The fighting spirit. It's something I need to see. I think we all need to be reminded that nothing could hold us back. You know, and you're definitely true testaments of that. So I want to thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks, man. Thanks for coming down.
Absolutely. Thank you again, and for having us in your beautiful home.
Yeah.
There's so many ways to look at homelessness, systemless. There's decisions that some people make. We live in a society that kind of throws rules on us, and we're a lot of us are stuck in the rat race. You know, we work endless hours just to cover, you know, the basic bills to just get by. I just sat down with two people that did see that. They didn't only see that, but they did something about it. They took action. They had faith in God, they had faith in themselves, and they had faith in their family. This America, it's a free country, and we make decisions that we feel we're comfortable with. And I'm honored to sit here with these two and their family who made a decision, and it was a great decision because it paid off. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got some inspiration. FYI Podcast with Paul Tully. Check us out on the next one.
Hey, well, I just want to say thank you guys for, following us on our adventure. Quite the adventure it was, but we're here, and I'm glad, and give all the grace and honor to God, and God bless, and keep going, keep following your dreams, and keep doing what you got to do, okay? All right, guys, got to go.
Hey, everybody, thanks for watching. Tune in on this next episode. We're sitting down with Lola. Lola's story is truly inspiring. She's the daughter of two immigrants who came to this country with nothing. But after years of hard work, Lola went on to get her education and work for one of the most prestigious companies in New York City and be a financial advisor. Tune in.
You should never stress about the problems you be facing. Everybody in the mud on the struggle trying to make it. Look into the mirror and you see the motivation. Then you step into the world and you find your inspiration. I'm finding inspiration, and once I get a hold of it, I'll never get complacent. Look into the mirror and you see the motivation. Then you step into the world and you find your inspiration.